student. Today I am going to discuss sectional view of the human heart. Okay. In this diagram, as we know that human heart has four chambers, two atrium and two ventricle. Two atrium and two ventricle. Right atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. Both atrium always situated in the upper part of the heart, whereas ventricle situated in the lower part of the heart. Then all the deoxygenated bloods from the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava comes into the right atrium. Then after, due to the high pressure in the right atrium, this tricuspid valve will be open and all the deoxygenated blood comes into the right ventricle. That means all the deoxygenated blood comes into the right ventricle by the opening of tricuspid valve. Then after, due to the high pressure in the ventricle that going to pressure on this valve, that is the pulmonary seminal valve. As a result, this valve will be open and all the deoxygenated blood comes or goes into the pulmonary artery, and by this artery all the deoxygenated blood goes into the lungs. With the help of pulmonary artery, all the deoxygenated blood goes into the lungs. Whenever the pulmonary seminal valve open, as a result, all the deoxygenated blood goes into the pulmonary artery. By this pulmonary artery, all the deoxygenated blood goes into the lungs for the gaseous exchange. As we know that in the previous topic, in the lungs, our blood becomes oxygenated with the help of diffusion process. As we know that in the lungs, billions of alveoli present in which gaseous exchange process occurs with the help of diffusion process. As a result, our blood, that means our deoxygenated blood, becomes oxygenated, and this oxygenated blood comes into the heart, left atrium of heart, by the pulmonary vein. Here one thing is noticed that all the veins possesses deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein, because pulmonary vein possesses oxygenated blood. Similarly, all the artery possesses oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery possesses deoxygenated blood. Then when oxygenated blood goes into the left atrium by the pulmonary vein, as a result pressure will be created, hence this valve, bicuspid valve, will be open and all the oxygenated blood goes into the left ventricle. All the oxygenated blood from the left atrium goes into the left ventricle by the opening of bicuspid valve. Once again, I am repeating this. All the oxygenated blood from the left atrium goes into the left ventricle by the opening of bicuspid valve. Then after, pressure will be created in the left ventricle and this pressure will be exerted on the pressure on this valve. This valve is known as aortic seminal valve. As a result, this valve will be open due to the high pressure of oxygenated blood, and all the oxygenated blood goes into the aorta, here to the upper part of the body part, and this aorta, all the oxygenated blood goes into the lower part of the body parts here. Then after, in our heart, two types of blood comes in our heart. First time from the deoxygenated blood, all the deoxygenated or impure blood firstly comes into our heart, into the right atrium and right ventricle. Then after, all the oxygenated blood from the lungs comes into the left atrium of heart. Hence, such types of circulation is known as double circulation. This is some point that will be noticed. In our heart, there are four chambers: right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle, and four types of valve are also present. This is the tricuspid valve, this is the bicuspid valve, this is the pulmonary seminal valve, and this is the aortic seminal valve. Hence, in our heart, four valves are present. Hello student, today I am going to discuss the double circulation with the help of flow chart. As we know that in the previous topic, that is the structure of heart, that I have already described the structure of heart and their chambers. Now from this flow chart, it is easily seen that all the deoxygenated blood, especially from the different body part, goes into the inferior vena cava, and all the deoxygenated blood, especially from the head region, goes into the superior vena cava, and all deoxygenated blood from inferior vena cava as well as superior vena cava goes into the right atrium of heart. As a result, due to the deoxygenated blood, pressure will be increased, hence tricuspid valve will be open. As we know that the tricuspid valve is present between the right atrium and right ventricle. Hence, due to the opening of tricuspid valve, all the deoxygenated blood or impure blood goes into the right ventricles. Then after pressure increases in right ventricle, this pressure causes pulmonary seminal valve will be open, because here as we know that the pulmonary seminal valve present between the right ventricle and pulmonary artery. Hence, all the deoxygenated blood or impure blood goes into the pulmonary artery. As you know that all the artery possesses oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery possesses deoxygenated blood. Okay. Now, all the deoxygenated blood from the pulmonary artery goes into the lungs, because in the lungs our blood become oxygenated with the help of millions of alveoli that is present into the our lungs. Here gaseous exchange occurs by the diffusion process. As a result, deoxygenated blood into the lungs will be converted into the oxygenated blood, and this oxygenated blood goes into the pulmonary vein. Here one thing is, notice that all the veins possesses deoxygenated blood or impure blood, but pulmonary vein possesses oxygenated blood. Then after, all the oxygenated blood from pulmonary vein goes into the left atrium of heart. Okay, then all the oxygenated blood goes into the left ventricle, because pressure will be increases into the left atrium. As a result, bicuspid valve that is present between the left atrium and left ventricle, this valve will be open due to the high pressure of oxygenated blood. Hence, all the oxygenated blood goes into the left ventricle. Then after, due to the high pressure, aortic seminal valve will be open, because aortic seminal valve present between the left ventricle and aorta. And hence, all the oxygenated blood due to the opening of aortic seminal valve will be goes into the aorta. Then after, all the oxygenated blood from the aorta goes into the head region, and from the aorta goes into the different body part. Here in the flow chart, as you seen that 2 times blood comes into our heart. First time deoxygenated blood comes into the right atrium heart, and second time oxygenated blood comes from the lungs via pulmonary vein into the left atrium of heart. Hence, such types of circulation is known as double circulation. Here one thing is other, notice that from right ventricle to the left atrium circulation. Once again, I am repeating this. From right ventricle to the left atrium circulation, such types of circulation is known as pulmonary circulation, because here pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins names is used. Hence, such types of circulation are from right ventricle towards the left atrium. Circulation is known as pulmonary circulation, and rest of the circulation is known as systemic circulation, because from this all the oxygenated blood goes into the head region and different body part. Okay, take care.